welcome to the Building and Growing podcast. We're delighted to have Alkin with us from Laranja. Welcome, Alkin.
Hey, thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.
You're most welcome, mate. Look, it's a sunny day in Istanbul. We are neighbours. We're, filming in a studio close to home. Things don't get much better than that in Istanbul.
Well, sometimes it gets nasty around here, but today is a particularly special day. It's really nice.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. So look, Alkin is the founder of Laranja, but you've got a super interesting history, mate. Do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. Was born and bred in Istanbul. I'm 47 now, born in 1977, which is ancient now. Did all my education in here, went to high school, university, and all that. And I started working quite young. When I was in high school, I started organizing my own tourism projects, organizing tours. At that time, the internet did not exist. I was going into the bus stations, organizing bus, calling hotels on catalogs and making deals and putting together a package so I can sell it to high school kids and university kids.
Yep.
So they can go to Bodrum or Antalya on the weekend to have a lovemaking session away from their families. And then throughout university, I carried on working, did various jobs, always sales related.
Yep.
And then after the university, I moved to London.
Yes.
And then when I first moved to London, I realized I need a visa to be there. I went there with a tourist visa.
Yep.
I needed a work visa. So I started looking for a work visa. And then I ended up working for a company that deals with work visas. That's how I sorted out myself over there.
Nice.
And then it also became a part of what I do in the background with immigration and stuff like that. But after a few years doing that, I joined the company Procter & Gamble. And I worked for them for 8 years. And then I worked day and night. I really love that company.
Yeah.
And I worked tirelessly, but not sleeping. I was determined to rise high in the organization.
Yep.
And then after 8 years, I left P&G and moved to a company called Diageo.
Yes.
Diageo is the world's biggest drinks company. And then I worked there 2 years. And then after that, I met my then girlfriend, now wife, Megan, and then we moved to Turkey. And then when I first moved back to Turkey, I started setting up my own businesses, and one of which was a medical tourism company. And since then, it's been now 8 years, I think we've been living in Istanbul. We have a child now, and then our businesses, we both run our own businesses. I run a few businesses, but the main one is the medical tourism. And yeah, this is what I'm doing nowadays.
Fantastic. Look, mate, thanks so much for that intro. And I love, the sort of the beginning where, you were building out your business and distributing it in an offline manner, before the internet. It sounds like, you were doing a lot more interesting work when you were at high school than I was. I was at the DVD shop,
Request.
Yeah, that's it. It was always weird when somebody would come in with something from the R18 section, we'd always laugh at them. But yeah. But look, mate, thanks so much for talking us through, I guess, that journey from, running your own tourism business in Istanbul to going to London, I guess firstly solving your own problem with, the work permit, and then building up your experience at Procter & Gamble and Diageo, to then, returning to Turkey and opening up, a couple of big businesses. I know you mentioned medical tourism that we'll focus on today. I think you've also got something in terms of passports and immigration.
Correct. It's citizenship by investment. So certain countries allows foreigners to come into their country and invest. It could be investment into real estate, it could be investment into funds, it could be investment into a business, whatever. And then in return for that, they give them right to reside in that country, to work in that country, which will ultimately turn into a citizenship for them. So
Yes.
this is called citizenship by investment. And we are currently doing it mainly for Turkish people in 63 different countries. Mm-hmm. So we talk to them, explain them what is the best program for them, and then we then travel with them to that country, sort out everything for them in terms of accountant, bank accounts, or the immigration, the lawyers and everything, or real estate, and then we give them the whole package.
Yes.
That's one of the things we do nowadays as well.
Fantastic, that's great. And I know when I met yourself and Megan, a couple of years back, one of the things that struck me was the fact that you're doing, I guess, a medical tourism, which is inbound, but also the, citizenship work, which is outbound. And so, you're catering to both markets. If one market's down, at least the other market can be up.
Correct, especially in Turkey when your local currency is lira and then it fluctuates a lot. You need to do everything to offset this kind of risk. So yeah, that's exactly what we are doing.
Yeah, fantastic. I love it. I love it. Well, look, let's dive into medical tourism first. I guess, as a bold guy, people are always saying to me, why do you go to Turkey so much and don't get a hair transplant? But it'd be great if you could give us a bit of high-level commentary on, sort of what medical tourism is and its significance for Turkey.
Sure. Before I get there, with my experience, I'm not a doctor, but I can say if all the hair transplant doctors comes together, there is zero chance you'll get hair. It's not going to work for you.
That's it. The ship sailed.
Exactly. But it suits you. Luckily, this look suits you.
Oh, yeah,
So
thank
it's
you.
okay.
Yeah. I still dream about having hair, though. Like, sometimes I have a dream, and in the dream, I have hair. Like, it's been a few years, but it never goes away in the mind.
Yeah, it's just a dream. It's not going to happen. Sometimes people say, they lose their hair and stuff. And then they go, at one point in their life, they say, it's just hair, But some people never get to that stage. And then, Andre Agassi, you heard of him, right?
Yeah, the tennis player.
Yeah, he struggled a lot during the finals and stuff. And he was thinking, he was wearing a wig. And then he was concerned whether his wig was coming out of shape and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a big psychological thing for most people.
Indeed.
And then, yeah, most men goes through this thing, and then when they go through it, it's got a devastating effect for many. And then, luckily, there is a solution for some. But that's how medical tourism started. Reaching out to big numbers in Turkey. Hair transplant had a big impact. But before we get there, what's medical tourism and who does it and why do they do it?
Yeah.
So normally people travel to for medical tourism purposes, there are 4 driving forces behind it. Number one is price. Is like that treatment could be expensive in their own country, so they look for a cheaper alternative.
Yep.
That's the main reason they travel to other countries. But there are also other reasons, like for example, the perceived quality. They might think the treatment in another country is better than their existing country.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the speed. For example, they could be in a developed country, say in UK or Canada, but the waiting time for operation times can be really long. For a hip replacement, the average waiting time could be 52 weeks or 2 years, and they don't want to walk around in pain. So that's why they opt to go into another country to get these treatments. And then the 4th reason that medical treatment simply might not exist in their country, so that's why they need to travel. These are the medical travel people who travels to other countries just for medical purposes. But there is also another group which skews the numbers when you look into statistics, how many people are in Turkey or in any other country. There are people who travel solely for tourism. So Turkey receives rough and tough 60 million people each year as a tourist. They come here for tourism. But when they are here, something goes bad. They, sprain their ankle, they got hit by a car, they fall down off a cliff. I don't know, their phone explodes to their face. And then they also need to go to the hospital. These people are in the overall numbers, but these are not medical tourists, so
they're just unfortunate tourists.
Unfortunate tourists, exactly. So when I'm talking about the numbers and stuff, the size of the market and who does what, I normally exclude those ones. So if you look into the size of the market in Turkey, how big it is, you'll see a lot of numbers. But the size of the medical tourism market in Turkey is around $1.5 billion per year. And then roughly 1/3 of it, 500 million of it, happens in Istanbul. And the rest of the billion of it happens outside of Istanbul, in
Wow.
Turkey, in Antalya, Izmir, pretty much every city
Yeah.
is doing this now.
I never would have guessed that that split would be, you know, so, I guess, like the majority doesn't happen in Istanbul.
Yes,
Whereas
yes, yes.
I never imagined that that would be the case.
Yeah, it is the case. People tend to travel to the places they have. For example, like Iranians goes to Antalya, and there might be people from Iraq. They just go to Adana or Urfa or Antep. These
Yeah.
are the places, and some people prefer to go to Izmir or Ankara or Nevşehir. So they go and they want to have their medical treatment. Plus, they want to have a holiday.
A holiday,
And
yeah.
so they might be in Cappadocia. There are hospitals over there. We have people coming. Sometimes it surprises me. But they go to Kayseri for an IVF treatment. And then they also have a tour around the Nevşehir, Cappadocia, and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. So they combine the two of them.
Shivers, that's nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is nuts,
Far out, far out. Yeah, and look, I mean, you mentioned, I guess, a whole lot of different countries as well. You know, I must admit, I had a couple of other conversations where I heard about like very sort of like niche, like, you know, markets. So, for example, someone I know said that, you know, there's a lot of Australian medical tourists, but then they break that down and they're like, all right, most of them are actually like Lebanese Australian and they're coming from Western Sydney and they're flying to Istanbul for the treatment. So, I mean, have you found any sort of like surprising trends there in terms of the demographics?
There are tons of surprising demographics. You know, there are like so stereotypical expectations and stuff who will come for what treatment and stuff like that in this business. But numbers are like this, generally speaking. Half the patients that comes to Turkey are from Middle East and North Africa.
Wow.
Iraq, Iran, Algeria, Tunisia, all these countries are the top countries. Then the CIS countries, the ex-Russian countries, they are the second in group, and the Balkans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We have people coming in here, as you say. You know, when you look into statistics, you see a guy from Botswana, you see a guy from Australia, you see a guy from Japan.
Yeah.
They are in the numbers, but these are most probably either those tourists or they have a connection in here. They are part Turkish or their relatives are in here or they are traveling from one point to another point, and while they're here, they saw an advertisement and for some reason they decide to stop over and have a treatment. But these are really low numbers, you know. And then we got people coming from Fiji Island, and then it's just coincidence, you know.
Yeah, fantastic. And look, you know, I guess we've made a couple of jokes, you know, about like, you know, hair transplants, but you know, I guess medical tourism in Turkey isn't just hair transplants. Sort of, what in your eyes are, you know, the most sort of, popular operations or treatments that people undertake?
Penis enlargement. No.
Well, I love to hear about the success rate on that one.
0%. It doesn't work. It's a marketing trick.
Yeah.
Well, number one will be oncology, the cancer treatments in here.
Yeah.
The cancer treatment facilities in Turkey are, especially the ones in Istanbul, are great. There are 156 private hospitals in Istanbul, and majority of them are doing cancer treatments.
Wow.
And they're doing it at a world-class level. There is this American organization called JCI, Joint Commission International. This is a governing body that sets the gold standard in healthcare. So they go to the hospitals, they check them, they tell them how to run their operations for everything. Imagine it's something like McDonald's, right? You put the meat in here, you keep everything in here, this is how long you keep it. They tell you everything and they check you for it. This is same thing. And as a result, you don't get food poisoning in McDonald's.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
if you are JCI accredited, things generally don't go wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
Processes are pretty strong.
Exactly, yeah. And then there are a lot of hospitals in Istanbul. They are JCI accredited and stuff like that, which is amazing. And it's you know, the quality in here in Istanbul hospital, private hospitals, is fantastic. You know, I traveled extensively around the world, just visiting hospitals, talking to the Ministry of Health, talking with patients, doing focus groups in different countries and stuff. Turkey's Istanbul private hospital, the chains we have in here are really good quality. They're like the depth and breadth of the departments are really good. The quality of doctors and nurses and the healthcare facilities are really good. And now, compared to 10 years ago, today, you have the support systems there as well. More and more people understand the cultural competency better. Patients coming from different countries, how to treat them.
Yeah.
The language barrier is broken, and it's all good. But sometimes, you still have people coming from a culture that is different than yours, and their expectations are different, and then they come here for various expectations, sometimes unrealistic.
Yes.
And then, these things are, oddities. The majority of the stuff is people are coming in here and getting cancer treatment is the number one thing in Turkey.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
There are some hospitals who are in partnership with some big American hospitals. I don't know if I can say the names.
Of course, yeah.
For example, there is in Istanbul, there is this hospital called American Hospital.
Yes.
They are working together with Texas MD Anderson Cancer Hospital, and they got a partnership. So once there is a cancer patient, their case is reviewed by both doctors here, and then they jointly decide on the best treatment plan. And then you get this North American quality in here, but the price of Turkey. So the same treatment in US will cost you maybe 10 or 20 times more than it will cost in here.
Which is incredible.
Yeah. So that's why people are mainly coming for the cancer treatment in here.
Yeah.
Other treatments that are very popular is the organ transplants, the kidney or the liver and stuff. There is this rule in Turkey. Turkey is one of the few countries that allows your donor to be fourth degree relative. Normally, in most countries, it's your first degree relative.
Yeah.
But here in Turkey, it's your fourth degree relative. I don't even know what fourth degree relative is. It's like a guy on the street.
cousin.
You still need to prove that they're your relative. You still need to get in front of a board and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people coming for this as well. Those are the big categories, if you like, in medical tourism.
Fantastic. So look, cancer, organ transplants, massive. I guess the ones that we more visibly see, well, certainly for me, I visibly see this on the street and on the airplane. They're like the nose jobs as well, the head nappies.
The dental treatments.
The dental treatment, yes.
Yeah.
And I've heard that there's also like tummy tucks and liposuction as that.
All of this, plastic cosmetic surgeries, if you like, is more or less 20% of the whole business.
Okay.
In terms of value.
Yes.
In terms of volume, it's probably half the volume comes through these things.
Yeah.
You see these people visibly and everywhere. You might not see someone who just had a kidney transplant. It might be on the same plane, but you don't visibly see it.
True.
However, you see the dental treatment or the hair transplant.
Yeah, the little nappies that people wear.
Exactly. Bleeding out.
Yeah, that's it. I know that the hotels get upset because they ruin all the bed sheets. So that's no good. But look, Turkey is famous for its hospitality. So are you able to talk us through a little bit about the sort of the patient experience and what they go through end to end?
Well, there are different demographics, obviously, and each patient's need is different. But overall, the care in Turkey, combined with the Turkish hospitality, provides a great result. They like holding people's hands, and they like to help out, and they like seeing foreigners in the country.
Yeah.
And this combined with their training and there is a lot of training. All the nurses and the doctors and the health care professionals goes through about this cultural competency and how to treat them, how to talk to them, how to respect their privacy, how to understand. Everyone's different, right? It's like we talk about in Turkey, for example, what are the main differences of a standard Turkish person versus another, say, a European or an African person. There are 6 different areas we behave differently, one of which is like our perception of time, right? It's like for, let's say, a European person, the time is linear and there is an end goal and they need to do this and that and this to reach this goal, and they are planned and organized and they are moving towards like this.
Yeah.
Whereas for us, for Turks and most of Middle East, the most important thing is now. There is not a future plan, and the most important thing is whatever we are doing now.
Yeah.
And then that's why we are mainly late for meetings and stuff like that. This is our...
You were punctual. You were punctual, though.
I lived in UK for 10 years. They shaped me a bit.
That's it.
Yeah. So we see this kind of different behaviors from people, and then in order to deal with this, there is tons of training you could do and then teach people. But at the end of the day, it boils down to whether people want to care for someone else or not. And then, as you mentioned, Turkish people are very hospitable, and they hold hands. So as a patient experience, whether they pay the full price and they have all the whistles and bells and they are picked up from the airport, they are like transferred to hospital in a fancy car, they stay in a nice hotel and stuff, and they are being looked after. This is, immaculate and exceptional service in terms of healthcare.
Yeah.
It could be also they pay the, just for their surgery, and they pay the minimum amount of money, and there is nothing involved, but they will still receive very good service because they will picked up again, from the airport, the transport to the hotel or transport to the hospital will be fine. People speak English, they will be greeted well, and then in the hospital, they are being listened, taken care of. Facilities are amazing, especially if they end up in one of the private hospitals in Istanbul.
Yeah.
The facilities are amazing. It's like a 5-star hotel quality. The meals are nice. The environment is nice. Rooms are large.
Yeah.
It's a pretty nice experience.
Oh, I mean, look, having dealt with the NHS, quite a lot, I would much rather spend a night in a Turkish hospital than one in London. I can definitely say that.
It's like they should do like a TV series, World's Toughest Prisons, or World's Toughest Hospitals. NHS will be there, number one.
That's it, yeah, fantastic. And so, look, Alkin, tell us about what Laranja does, within, I guess, this really exciting medical tourism space.
Yeah. So basically, what Laranja does is we help hospitals to attract more patients. If you look into in Turkey, it's illegal to advertise healthcare services.
Wow.
It's been like that since 1963. I don't know. It's a very old law, and then you cannot advertise for healthcare services in Turkey.
Yeah.
Because of this reason, the marketing environment for healthcare in Turkey didn't develop that much. There are great marketing companies and marketing services available for other industries, but in terms of healthcare, it's not great. And when it comes to attracting foreign patients from other countries, the hospitals in Turkey, generally speaking, fell a bit short with their marketing activities, the advertisement, the promotions and stuff.
Yeah.
If you look into what's being put out there, and advertising for foreign patients is legal, but what they put over there is all similar stuff. So if I look into advertisement, remove one hospital names, put the other one, nothing's going to change. They all say the same stuff. They say, we are the best hospital. We have the best doctors. We have the best treatment.
Yeah.
But a patient, these are not the things the patient wants to see. If you look into the efforts, 80% of the marketing material out there is not relevant to the patient. They don't talk to the patients. They don't do the focus group. They don't want to understand. To give an example, let's say you're going to attract people from Iraq for IVF treatment, right?
Yeah.
And then, so Iraq is like a geographically different place. There are different age groups in here as well, and then the decision makers are different. If you go up into the north, for example, Süleymaniye, where Kurdish population is really high, and then the underage marriages numbers are quite high, and then the IVF need, the age group is earlier than the rest of the country. If you go down to Baghdad and you're going to, attract someone from there, the decision maker is normally the oldest man in the family.
Okay.
It's not the girl who's doing it. Or if you go down to, below, and then where the Shia community is really high in numbers, and the Shia clerics are okay with Islam and the science being together. So
Yeah.
there you can use more statistics and numbers, whereas in other places you might need to say, inshallah, God willing, these things gonna happen, but you might use more statistic in this kind of advertisement.
Yeah.
This changes, and then there are different times, like whether it's the time of Karbala, whether there is like huge migration from Iran to Iraq at that time of the year, whether the girl is, at between the age of 18 to 24 or 24 to 30, their expectations are different.
Yes.
And
yeah.
some of them things about what's my husband gonna think, what's my neighbor gonna think, and some of them think, will I go through pain? Some of them doesn't care about pain. They are like, they only care about success rate. So these are all different. So you need to understand who you are pitching to, and you need to tell them what you can do for them, rather than saying, we are the best hospital, we are the best doctors. So we do this for hospitals, and we talk with them, and we say, these are your capabilities, this is your departments. We think this is the ideal country and ideal treatment you can offer to. You will have a point of difference versus your competition in here.
Yeah.
And then we do their marketing campaigns for them. We run everything online, offline, above the line, below the line. We design everything. We run these campaigns. And whatever interest is generated from this, if they want, we also create sales teams for them to manage those leads for them.
Nice.
And then talks and explain everything, run the whole process. And then we also build systems that integrates their existing systems into our models, and then therefore they can have digital reporting, instant digital reporting, horizontal, vertical. Everyone can see everything instantly, from the money spent to the patient experience, end to end.
Yeah.
And we provide this service as well. And it's a plug, it's not one service. We do different things for different hospitals. We provide market entry reports, how to best go into another country if they are going to go into another country. Should they open up a branch in there? Should they open up a hospital in there? Should they have a truck and the tour around the country? What's the best return for their money? We provide consultants for them, and the way we do it is, this is what we eat, and this is our work. We currently all the time monitor all these countries. We go to these countries. We talk to patients before, during, after, and we have immense amount of data. And then we manage to put these things with the use of AI and everything. We are now managing this data more efficiently. We know who's the golden client for a certain hospital better than they do. And then when we talk about their numbers, they get sometimes surprised. How do we know? But we get all the data from the patients, and there is no other country in Turkey that gets this much data and then filters it, categorizes it, and make a meaningful outcome of it. And then this is core of what we do.
That's fantastic. And look, it reminds me of that saying, data is the new oil. I mean, like if you can control the data, and provide insights, you can make a meaningful impact to the company's revenue and their bottom line.
Exactly. Yeah, data is the new oil, maybe less dirty. People are receiving a lot of data nowadays, and big data is like mind-boggling, and you can't manage it. And with the Internet of Things now creating more data and stuff, this push people into smaller data as well. I don't know if you read the book Big Data, Small Data, and then this guy goes into Russia and then looks into the magnets on the fridges, which family puts what, and then he draws out conclusions from there. He goes to India, and then he looks out into the who's shopping for a cereal, and then it's the oldest in the family, and then in their own time, what kind of TV shows they watch, and then the colors of the TV. So he associates the color of orange and green, and he puts it onto the color of a new cereal. And then Granny keeps buying it, and then he draws conclusions from small data as well. But at the end of the day, big or small, if you have a data, and you understand what it is, you manage it, it gives you a huge advantage.
That's it. Fantastic. Look, Alkin, I know Turkey, really has a strong reputation for medical tourism. I guess if I think about, other places, I guess, Brazil and like Colombia, pop up, particularly from a plastic surgery point of view. But what competition do you see out there from other countries?
Normally for medical tourism, people don't want to fly longer than 6 hours. 6 hours seems to be the maximum amount of flight they want to take. So we don't compete with Thailand or Mexico and stuff. But those are not our markets.
Yeah.
But for, Turkey is competing with Middle Eastern countries. So it might be Jordan,
Yeah.
it might be, let's say, Dubai. They have facilities over there as well. And then Middle Eastern and North African patients might choose to go over there as well. We are also competing with the countries themselves. Let's say Tunisia, 10 years ago, they didn't have any cardiology facilities, no doctors, no equipments. Even if they have the, machinery equipments, no one knew how to run them. But today is a different story. So it's a competitor as well. And then depending on which, health area it is, if it's like, I don't know, plastic cosmetic surgery and stuff, Turkey is competing for UK patients with Poland and Hungary.
Wow.
They have, dental treatment packages and stuff. But, hair care, no one competes with Turkey.
That's it. I'm in the right place. Fantastic. That's great. Alkin, look, thanks so much for taking us through, your medical tourism side of the business. Is there anything else you want to add there or make any references to partners that you work with before we talk about other businesses that you run?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything. But I believe Turkey has a good product and the marketing activities for its legs immensely. And, if government and the key stakeholders, the private hospitals, can focus on the patient and adjust their marketing accordingly, the size of the market could change dramatically. Most of the people are not even aware how good the service quality, time and efficiency and all those things in terms of healthcare in Turkey are. The whole market is, people think it's just hair care and dental treatment. It's not just that. And then the way to resolve it is doing a calculated long-term plan and marketing efforts. And that's the way to go forward, I think.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for sharing that insight, mate. And so, I guess moving over away from inbound traffic to Turkey to outbound traffic from Turkey, are you able to talk us through the citizenship business that you run?
Yeah, so we help Turkish citizens to gain citizenship in other countries. Sometimes it's not citizenship, they are just interested in getting residency cards.
Yeah.
So with those residency cards, they are able to travel freely within Europe. They don't need a visa. And getting a visa in Turkey for Schengen visa is really hard. You don't get appointments. If you get the appointments, it's for a later date. You need to collect a lot of documents.
Yeah.
And then the chances of getting a visa are pretty low. If you look into data 5 years ago, of all the Schengen applications that are made in Turkey, the rejection rate was around 5%.
Okay.
And then in the recent years, it reached up to 45%.
Wow.
So nearly half of the applications are being rejected. And if you look into which countries reject you more and high, people always follow these things. Which countries, embassies open issuing visas, what are their refusal rates? If you go to Nordic countries now, like Sweden or Iceland, their refusal rates reach to 95%.
Wow.
You don't go there for a visa
terrible.
application.
Yeah.
So in order to offset these things, people are applying for residency programs.
Yes.
And however, although they are trying to do this, European Union is also putting pressure on countries to limit or remove their citizenship by investment programs. If you were talking about this topic 10 years ago, there were a lot of options. But now all these options are getting limited and limited and limited. Ireland canceled, Latvia canceled, Spain is about to cancel, Portugal changed its rules, and Spain is thinking about canceling the whole thing. There used to be a lots of investment program available, say in Hungary, in France, in Canada, and they all are being removed. we have certain countries available for Turkish people. This depends on how much money they have, how much time they can spend in that country, and then we ask them these questions. In a given year, how many days you can spend in a country, how much you are willing to spend, what type of investment are you looking, what's your expectation, and then we say this is the correct program for you. This is what you should do.
Yeah.
It's not just like healthcare. You hear sometimes, oh, have this. This is going to be great for you. It worked for my friend. It worked for me. But health advice that is good for you might be harmful for others, right? So we are all different. Our DNA is different. Our environment is different. Our lifestyles are different. So whether it's a medication, whether it's a herbal thing, whatever, it might not have the desired effect on you. It's same with this immigration as well. Just because, in Turkey, for example, buying in Portugal, buying in Greece is very popular. Dating Greece is very close by.
Yeah.
But it might not be the most ideal solution for them. There are other programs that could be cheaper, that could be easier, that could be more suitable for them. And then our job is to talk with the client, understand their needs and what could be most helpful to them.
Fantastic. That's great. And, I guess two questions. One is I've seen these like digital nomad sort of visas pop up everywhere post COVID, which, could provide an easy way into a few different countries. What's your view on those?
Yeah, they are popping out, and it's a great income for countries as well. However, with the digital nomad visas, they have certain requirements. Number one being they require you to live in that country. And then in order for you to live in that country, you need to earn enough money. And then given the income disparity between Turkey and other countries, it's generally hard for majority of Turkish people to go there and start a business and afford themselves. They have rules. They say you need to show us, wealth or income of this level. For example, Italy just started a digital nomad visa recently, and they are saying you need to be a university graduate. You need to have this kind of work experience. You need to show me this. And if they have it, they can do it anywhere. So you can't beat the system with digital nomad visas. However, if you want to really, become a digital nomad, run a business abroad, and live there legally, and maybe turn it into a citizenship at the end of the day, if you are fully capable, if you have the means, yes, you can do it. And I think they are great in integrating whole communities together. I love this. The most popular one, I think, digital nomad visa at the moment is the one in Portugal.
That's right.
People prefer living in Portugal. It's an amazing country, 300 days of sunshine, amazing food, people, beaches, and the cost of living was relatively cheap. And the program is relatively simple and straightforward. If you choose to live there, it's an amazing program.
That's it, and I had a lot of interest from people in tech, people in crypto, but then the unfortunate side effect of pricing out the locals, from property markets and that. So
not only the property markets, but for example, on the subject of Portugal, in Lisbon, you have the famous number 28, the tram that tours around all the city, and it used to be, I remember, it was 20p. 20 pounds. And then I remember it, and this is within the last 10 years, Now you you nearly pay €5 to this thing.
That's
and
nuts.
the locals are saying, this was my, way of commute to my work. This was my way of going to, supermarket. Now I can't. It's filled with tourists. They're paying €5 for it. I can't pay it. And then, so gentrification, unfortunately, is caused not only by the real estate, but also this kind of day-to-day impacts of tourists and digital nomads coming into a country as well.
Indeed. And look, just a quick question back to the reference you made to, say, EU countries potentially tightening some regulation. What impact will that have on your business?
Well, so if you think about it, we have an 80 million population, and only a certain amount of them could apply and buy, invest in other countries. So we already have a very limited market in here. But the options, although they are reducing in numbers, this number doesn't change. It's a constant in here. And so this number is actually quite large. So these things reducing doesn't change our business. We are still selling to the same crowd.
Yeah.
We only have less options to offer to them. So we don't expect any shift unless they pull the whole programs, then we don't have anything to offer, and that might be a problem. However, we are also shifting. With this, our business, majority of people who wants to invest in another country, they invest in real estate.
Yep.
So people, after doing their citizenship or the residency or those kind of investment, they're coming to us and saying, look, we have some spare money. We want to understand where to invest our money in. So we help them and we say, okay, how much money you have? How old are you? Do you have children? At what stage are you in your life? And then we then draw them a plan, which is normally 20 to 30 years of gathering a portfolio. We say, with this amount of money, if it was us, we would have a portfolio of like this. We would have, given your risk appetite, given your age, given your situation, we will put, making up the numbers, 60% of your money into this country, 40% in these countries. Within these countries, we will put the big city, medium city, small city like this, and here like this. And this is your first 7-year plan. This is the following 7-year plan. And then towards the end of your life, where you're gonna think of giving your stuff, you need to start off thinking of inheritance tax. And then this is how you should move your portfolio to. We then give them, this whole investment plan portfolio of real estate. And this seems to be working. Even there's no immigration involved with it, people appreciate this thing. Because with real estate, although everyone would like to think that, buying house or renting house is easy and stuff, but this is an experience you only do 1 or 2 times in your life, and then there are a lot of pitfalls, especially if you do it in a foreign country. People generally don't follow these kind of things. They don't know the house prices. A quick look into internet could get you into wrong area. You need to have a more holistic approach and understanding of the whole market dynamics and a long-term planning. And this is what we offer to clients as well, which seems to be working. So if the immigration business at one point goes, we'll probably use our experience on international real estate market, and then we're gonna convert the business to that.
Fantastic, love it. Alkin, anything else you'd like to add about that business?
Both businesses, I will say, trust but verify. For whether it's a healthcare thing, always have a second opinion. Whether it's the immigration advice, always have a second opinion. Whether it's a real estate investment, always have a second opinion. Trust but verify, because nowadays you have a lot of information floating around. You don't necessarily know the source of it. A quick Google search could get you into a lot of places. You don't necessarily know how credible they are, how correct they are. Therefore, do your research, work with professionals, and then as many professionals as possible, get your second opinions. And especially in a very important decision like healthcare or a huge investment into another country, get a second opinion is what I ask.
Fantastic, that's great. And look, just more generally, do you have any key takeaways that you'd like to share with the audience about, what's helped you launch multiple businesses, or what's helped you, in life in general?
Well, this is the nature or nurture problem. I don't know why am I the way I am, but since I was a kid, even before, I wasn't aware of what level of consciousness I had. I remember selling stuff to other people, and then, whether it's a toy gun, and I would sell it to other kids so they could bang it in return for money, or I would rent my own bike, or I would get the little way from my house and go out on the street and weigh people in return for money, or get water, go to cemetery and sell water to relatives of the deceased people.
Super entrepreneurial,
Exactly. I don't know what pushed me into that, but it remained like that all the time. And I always like having multiple bets out there. As a person, I think it makes me feel more comfortable and secure. If one bet doesn't work, at least I have something else breathing around. And that's my personality. I don't know what draw me in here, but overall I feel very lucky in life in general, and then and I'm scared of asking for more as a person. You know, that's why I never go for businesses like someone says, oh, if you do this, invest this, it's gonna triple, it's gonna quadruple, or you can earn this much money. These kind of things scares me, and then I'm more of a, you know, let's run businesses as they meant to be, and the EBITDAs are low, but you know, at least they're sustainable, and they are, you know, decent. And then I want to have however many of those I can have, and I like, you know, this is, I think, a nature thing. I don't think this is. You can teach a lot of things to people, for sure. You can make them a better salesman. You can even teach people how to have more grit. You can't teach anything to anyone. Anyone is, you know, potentially capable of everything. But I also believe there are certain things you can't teach to people, right? I was like, how do you teach the talent of Messi to anyone? You know, you can't train all you like. You can't put your 10,000 dedicated hours. You're not going to be a Tiger Woods. You know, there's a certain talent, and I don't know, each to their own and stuff. I'm not in a position to give advice to this is the correct way of doing it, work harder and stuff. These are the things. I believe most of these things in life are happening with who you are from birth, and most of it is chance, whichever the country you were born in, who you meet, and what you make out of it. But I don't think there is a single magic formula or a secret pill. You do it, and then it's all, you know, works. And in my experience, I have, you know, huge failures of, you know, all these bets. Not all of them works and stuff. And then you sometimes say, okay, at least I learned stuff from it. But sometimes I find out I didn't even learn anything from it. It was just a failure. And I'm sort of in the mindset of most of these things are hugely related with luck. You know, you see people in top of organizations. I was lucky to meet CEOs of, you know, Fortune 500 companies. You know, I talk to them, and I've been into the leadership meetings, you know, in these huge organizations and stuff. And my expectation was to see someone super sharp, super clever, on the ball, you know. And then you realize they are people like everyone else, and then there isn't anything that much more special than others. They have the operational discipline. They work hard. They do the stuff. But there are also other people within the same organization, just like them, even better than them. But because of the shape, because of the force curve, because of the number of people that can be in that place, it's sometimes, you know, mostly I think is luck.
Yeah, indeed. Alkin, look, really good takeaways and insights. I think the one that resonated with me the most is about, you know, taking multiple bets, you know, diversifying those revenue streams. EBITDA, you know, doesn't have to be super high, but if you have recurring cash flow, you know, you're in a position of confidence. I think, you know, recurring cash flow is the most like underestimated thing ever in business. And yeah, you know, at the end of the day, people are people, and they enjoy dealing with other people who are fun to deal with. So fantastic. Look, çok teşekkür ederim, and thanks for joining, mate. And looking forward to hearing how you progress and how the medical tourism field continues to grow in Turkey.
Perfect. Looking forward to sharing it in the future.
Excellent. Thanks so much, mate.
Thank you. Cheers.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Fantastic.